So welcome to dynamic yoga this morning. I'm going to start slow and easy. The title for this class plan is Slow Grace, so we're going to try and embody that in the way that we move. We're going to come into Hero's Pose. So sitting on the block for me is a necessity. You could sit straddled across the brick, that's a little higher, or if you're able to get to the floor with the sitting bones, that's great. Toes are pointing backwards and heels to the outside of the hips. And we want to bring the knees in so we get this, enjoy a little bit of internal rotation through the legs and into the thighs. When you first come in, you'll notice that the back of the legs feel a little bit tight. So that will eventually go. Whilst we're waiting for that to happen, we'll just start some gentle rolling of the shoulders around. Not super big, just starting to get a little bit of movement so we can get some juice into the muscles and the joints. And we can go the opposite direction as well. And if you feel like a challenge, you can see if you can get one shoulder to go one way, one shoulder to go the other. And then see if you can get that to go the other way. And then we'll release. Just take the arms out nice and wide. We'll take a surface stretch. I'll bring that left arm across. And directing the breath into the shoulders. Release and take it across to the opposite side. Release from there and move ourselves gently up onto all fours. Going to move into child's pose in a moment. So before we do that, it's a chance to stretch the leg out again to get some blood flow through. And then we'll take the knees nice and wide, bring the toes together, sit back onto the heels. Slide the hands forwards, keeping the elbows from the ground. Stretch those fingers a little further forward. So I'm going to wrap deliberately the shoulders around the ears a little more. And feel that nice deep stretch down through the armpits and along the sides of the body. Belly in a little bit as well, and send the tailbone towards the back of the mat. So stretching in one way and pushing in another. We'll look towards the hands and bring ourselves into a side bend, moving over to our right side. And taking over to the opposite side. So aiming to have the hands shoulder distance apart, so it helps to have a little bit of a look, see where you're going. Breathing into that open side of the rib cage. Come back into the center. We'll lift up for some cat-cow. So allow yourself to spread the little finger and thumb as far apart as possible. And the knees underneath the hips, so shins down, bootlaces down. Draw the chest forwards and roll through the spine. Start small and let yourself build up as the spine, the joints start to feel like they're happy to oblige. Just taking care to work with the body and show it some respect as we move through. And take one more breath forwards, one more breath outwards, come into a neutral spine. And then we're going to drop the right shoulder towards the right hip and bring the right hip towards the shoulder. So we get a little bit of a side bend, just taking the head back, coming back into the center, moving across to the other side, feeling the ribs squeeze down a little bit. Do that 2 more times to each side. So really it's a side bend, but just on an all fours position. And a little bit different because we can move the hip and articulate that a little closer towards the shoulder. Come back into the center, tuck the toes underneath and lift into our down dog. So a little time to adjust, find your perfect happy place in your down dog. And treat your down dog, really the first one of the day is, what do I need? Ask yourself what needs to stretch. You can change the emphasis, you can press a little more into the hands, you can push away with the shoulders, you can sink the shoulders, you can let the elbows release a little bit. You can press the heels down, you can bend the knees, you can pedal the legs, you can flip-flop from side to side. Whatever you need to do. Spread the toes out a little bit. Then you can move forwards, backwards from plank to down dog if that felt like something you wanted to do. Or you could just be still. And lift the hands back towards the toes. Making sure that the feet are parallel and hip distance apart. I'm going to bend the knees, let the ribs and the thighs meet, then draw the hands away from the floor. So I come into a very low chair to start with, and then lift myself about halfway back up. I'll bring the hands in towards the heart. I'm going to lengthen into a forward fold gently. So open the legs out, hinge down. Take it easy. Under just warming into this. Bring the hands onto the shins, lift up halfway. Draw the chest forwards, tailbone back, and keep weight even in the feet. Exhaling down. Again, trying to adjust the weight in the feet. Keep it even as we move through. So this is different to just sort of dumping the hips back and then folding in. This is a lot more precise. Come down for the last time. And then we'll bring the hands onto the hips. Roll the shoulders back a little bit, soften the knees, keep the spine flat and lift up. We'll shake it out as we walk up to the front of the mat. Now I have got my brick in front of my mat as well. Strap is sort of down by the side, block is down by the side as well. And we'll do some rounds of some modified sun salutations first, and then we'll be using the brick when we come into triangle a little later. So inhaling the hands high, and through the heart, Uttanasana. We'll step back into the lunge with the right leg. And move it gently into a plank. Let the knees come to the floor. Take a little breath, bend the elbows back, chest to the ground. Slide the feet back. And then low cobra, just lifting up gently, flexing the legs away, lies down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Pretty much using the hands where they arrived into the pose and just using them for a tiny little bit of balance. We'll come up one more time. And we'll bring the hands down to the bottom of the ribs, peel ourselves away from the floor. Take the hands forwards. Lean into a sort of semi-plank with knees on the ground so the shoulders are over the wrists. Draw the belly in and then lift the knees gently away from the floor. Back into your down dog. And draw the left knee in. And bring that foot through into the lunge. And slowly step forward into the fold as we exhale. Bring the hands onto the hips. We'll lift up. And inhale high. Hands through the heart. And exhale down to the floor. We'll lead with the left leg into the lunge. Step it back into plank. Knees to the floor again. Bend the elbows into the body, chest down, and then slide the feet away to get the belly to the ground. And tuck in the toes, we lift. Low cobra. Exhaling, 4 more. Try to extend the neck long rather than pulling back. And then bring the hands back again to the bottom of the ribs. Peel away. We take the hands forwards again towards the front of the mat. Lean in. Draw the belly in. Lift ourselves back into our down dog. And we'll draw that right knee in for the lunge. And we'll step it forwards. Hands on the hips and that gentle lift up. Inhale. So add a little bit more onto this. Fold in gently. Taking the right foot to the back of the mat into the lunge. You're going to take the left hand up towards the sky into a twist. Bring the hand back down as we exhale. And then take the right hand up. Bring that back down. Step back into down dog. Take a little breath. Bring the right knee in towards the body. Foot through for the lunge. Drop the heel down. Bring the hands alongside the body. Now we're going to take the left arm forwards and then draw ourselves up slowly, cartwheeling into warrior two. Inhale the hands high. Return to the floor. Step back into plank. Half plank to up dog. Back into down dog. And draw the right knee in towards the body and bring the foot through. Take a step into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Into the floor, left foot back into lunge. Right arm takes up for the twist to floor again on the exhale. Take the other hand up. Bring that down. Step it back into our down dog. Draw that left knee in. Heel steps in for warrior two. Right arm comes forwards. Heart will up and open. Inhale high. Return to the floor. Step it back into plank, half plank and up dog again. Draw that left knee in. So lunge. Step it into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Inhale high. Hands to the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Right foot back. Take that left hand high to open. Bring the hand onto the inside of the front leg. Now see if you can take the right hand towards the sky. And then bring the hand down. Bring both hands either side of the front foot. Step it back into your down dog. We'll draw the right knee in. Lunge, drop the back heel down. Bring the hands alongside. Warrior two. Left arm lengthens forwards and then we draw it up to help lift. Inhale the hands high and back down to the floor. Step it back into the plank. Half plank and up dog. Draw that right knee in towards the chest. Come through for the lunge. And step it forwards. Hands on the hips and lift up. Inhale high. through the heart, down to the floor. Left foot back this time. Right arm lifts. We'll bring it down onto the inside of the front foot. Take a little breath. And open that left arm up towards the sky. Bring the hands down, both sides of the feet. Step back into our down dog. We'll draw the left knee in, bring that through, and prepare for warrior two. Right arm floats forwards and helps lift us up. Inhale high, rotate and lengthen out down to the floor. Step it back into the plank, half plank up. Move into the down dog, rolling over the toes if possible. And that left knee comes in for a lunge. And we step gently forwards into the forward fold. Bring the hands under the hips, lift. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Let the toes come together. A little gap for the heels. We're stepping back into our chair pose again. So we're sinking down. We're going to take it as low as we can with the hands in towards the heart, keeping the belly drawn in, getting the feeling of the weight moving into the heels. Then we'll take the hands out, lengthen forwards, and sit a little deeper down as we use the arms to counterbalance. Just allow yourself to go as low as you dare. In the moment, it feels like my legs are 90 degrees in the bend, but I know that that's not the case, but it's what it feels like. Take the last little breath, let ourselves lift back up slowly, and draw the hands down and shake out a little bit. Bring the feet back into that hip distance position. I'm going to bend down and just move the block directly in front, in between the feet. We'll start on the high end. You might want to adjust it lower as we go through. We'll take the hands high on the breath in. Hands through the heart and exhale down to the floor. We'll take the right foot back. Drop the heel in. Bring the hands alongside the body. Take the right arm forwards for that warrior two lift. Now drop the hands behind the back. Draw your tailbone and your hands towards the floor. Squeeze shoulder blades together. Very gently. And then we'll release the hands back to warrior two. Straighten the front leg as we lean out slowly. When we come into triangle pose, find the block and bring it underneath the shoulder. Take top arm up towards the sky and then wrap that around the body. And see if we can bring the fingers towards that front thigh. And then maybe focus a little bit on that right shoulder blade and see if you can draw it a little more over towards the left side of the mat, as if you could push your own shoulder blade away from you. See if it opens out the ribs a little more. soften that front knee. Just move the block out to the front of the mat again. Open ourselves up into our warrior two. We'll take a reverse warrior, so we'll turn the palm on the front hand, drop the rear hand onto the back thigh. As we take the top arm up, we'll walk the bottom hand down the leg as far as we can without putting any real pressure into the leg. And then we'll slowly straighten the front leg. Working into those muscle fibers in the hips in quite a specific way. Soften back into warrior two. Take the hands high. Rotate. Gently come down to the floor. Back into the lunge, and we'll step into the front of the mat. Hands onto the hips and lift ourselves up. Inhale high. Hand through the heart. Exhale down. And we're taking the left foot back, warrior two. Hands alongside the body to get that little bit of lift. The left arm comes through and up to help with the lift. Take the hands behind again. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then draw the belly in. Send the tailbone down. So you just feel the smallest tilt of the pelvis. Pubic bone travels forwards a little bit and the tailbone down a bit. Keep the connection with the shoulders, drawing them towards the spine. And release the hands. Slowly start to straighten the front leg. Allow the hips to move back. Lengthen out. Find your block. Bring it in. Okay, just find that happy place for you to be. So it could be as high as this or lower. We'll slowly take the hand around. Find the front thigh. As close as we can get. Back of the waistband always works. As well as a second option. Making sure we're pressing through the feet evenly. Drawing the thighs together a little bit as well as we lift. And then having got into the pose, we're going to start to draw this time the upper left shoulder over to the right side. See if that just opens up any more space for us. Soften the front knee. Bring ourselves back up into our warrior two. Turn the palm on the front hand. That goes up as the rear hand comes down. Walk the fingers down towards the shin. When you find your natural stopping point, you can exhale slowly, opening up that front leg until it becomes completely straight. I'll soften the front knee again. Come back into our warrior two. Take the hands high. Ease our way down to the floor. Move the brick out to the side. Spin into the lunge and then step gently into that forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips. Lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take the right foot back and drop it in for warrior two. Float that right arm up. As we arrive, we'll straighten the front leg and lengthen into our triangle pose. Taking the arm this time to the sky. One breath to roll the shoulder blade round. Soften the front knee, come back into warrior two. Lift the hands high and bring them onto the inside front foot. Spin the back heel to the sky and walk the foot a little bit further back. So we've got the maximum amount of length we can manage in our lunge. And then we're going to add to that by walking the hands around towards the long side of the mat, turning the toes with us, and taking an extended wide angle forward fold. So just easing the body in gently, hinging over the hips. And the toes want to very slightly turn in. Trying to hang out of the pelvis. So we're careful not to get any tension in the neck pulling us through or down. Just let it happen. Do a couple more breaths here. Lift up slowly as we inhale and walk the hands carefully around to the front of the mat, back into the lunge. Take a little breath. Step into the forward fold. One more side to do. We lift up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhaling down to the floor. Again, just paying attention to keeping the weight even in the toes, not thrusting the hips back. We're taking the left foot back for warrior two, dropping the heel down, bring the hands alongside. We'll take that left arm to float up towards the sky. Warrior two, straighten the front leg, lengthen out into our triangle. Again, the top arm lifts. Take that one extra breath in and out. Roll that top shoulder around. And soften the front knee. Back into warrior two. Lift the hands high. We're going to take the hands on the inside again. Once you arrive, spin the heel, slide the foot out to get that maximum length. Ideally, that front knee is still over the ankle. Pressing out through the back heel, feeling those groin muscles starting to work a little bit, and also the buttocks in the press. And then we'll walk the fingers around to the long side. Turn the toes in. So we're still going to be in the same position. This time we're just going to walk the hands forwards and take them sort of about twice as wide as your shoulders. So kind of moving towards the width of your feet on the fingertips. Nice long flat line between fingertips, shoulders and hips. Press feet evenly into the floor. Draw the groins together a little bit. Those thighs lifting. Walk the hands back in to lift the spine up halfway, and then fingers around to the front end of the mat. Back into the lunge. When you're ready, step on the exhale to the forward fold, sink in a little deeper, bringing the hands onto the hips and lifting up. And we'll come back down to the floor through our forward fold and allow ourselves to step back into a plank position and come all the way down to the floor, ready for locust pose. So we take a little breath here. Bring the hands alongside the body, palms facing down. And we're going to lift the hands, the chest, and the thighs, and hopefully the feet from the floor. So on the inhale, we'll lift up. And exhale, we'll come down. And as ever, we try and lengthen the toes and the crown of head away from each other to get as much length in the spine as we lift. So even though we're putting a little bit of curve in there, we're trying to make it the biggest, longest curve we can. Perfect. And then we'll bring the hands down to the bottom of the ribs, peel away from the floor. And bring ourselves back into a version of hero's pose. We're going to bring the knees together and just sit back onto the heels gently. Let the shoulders relax. I have realized that I probably haven't got enough room to the side of my mat, so I'm just going to make a small adjustment here so that I don't burn my toes on the radiator. I'm going to move the brick and the block towards the middle outer edge of the mat and the strap as well on the opposite side, and come back up onto all fours. So it's almost a seamless transition. Not. We'll take a little breath from here, and we're going to thread the needle. So we're going to take the right arm up towards the sky as we breathe in, and then fold it under, dropping the shoulder and ear down to the floor as we exhale. Inhale, we'll come back up all the way to the sky with the breath, and then fold it under and through. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We'll come back to all fours. Same for the opposite side. Inhale up. Exhale down. Trying to keep the hips over the knees, so we travel forwards and backwards as little as possible. And then this time we'll come back onto all fours. And just swing the feet out to the side and allow ourselves to move into a position ready for bridge pose. So roll the spines down gently. Bring the heels to about hip distance apart and close into the body. So it feels like the heels are underneath the knees, roll the shoulders underneath. Pressing the arms and hands and feet into the floor. Draw the belly in, slowly peel the toe bone away from the floor. We'll lift it up. Just aiming to get a nice line between the knees, hips, and the shoulders on the first couple. And then exhaling, rolling down. So these are kind of like light-hearted bridges, I guess you could call them, as you exhale up. If you could call a bridge light-hearted in any way. Well, we're going for that maximum opening and stretch. Just getting the body used to the idea of moving through this range. Okay, we'll come down one more time. This next time as we come up, we'll lift a little higher. So we'll roll the shoulder blades under a little more. Tuck the tailbone away. We're going to try and lift the hips high. Draw the knees and buttocks forwards and press the back of the arms towards the ground, and then slowly wriggle the shoulder blades underneath a little more. And we're going to bring the hands underneath the body and place the hands, and then work on opening the chest a little more. So we draw the chest towards the chin. Now, if you think it's possible, we're going to plant the elbows into the ground and see if we can bring the hands underneath the waist to lift up. So you might need to kind of lift into the tiptoes a little bit. Give yourself that space. Hands underneath. And then bring the heels back down. Okay. You might again need to lift up on the tippy toes to just get that release of the hands out easily. Bring the heels down and then lower the body down towards the floor. Wiggle the toes and heels back into the center line. I'm going to find the strap now and take Supta Padangusasana. Leg up towards the sky pose, as you might know it. So we'll bring the right foot in and just take the strap around the ball of the foot and allow the leg to lengthen out. Now I've got my chin drawn in towards my chest and my shoulders are off the ground. I'm going to bind the strap around the fists and then allow my head and my shoulders to come back down to the floor. So get a little bit extra stretch into the back of the leg. Now I'm going to try and press the spine and the tailbone down into the floor and lift the heel towards the sky and draw the shoulders towards the ground as well. So 3 points of focus: tailbone, heel, shoulders. Okay, go release that foot to the floor and then do the same with the opposite leg. So lengthen it out. Take the bind. The shoulders to the ground, then the tailbone, then lift the heel, and the shoulders, and the tailbone, and the heel. And just like a little mantra, just checking that what you're trying to manifest is actually happening to the best of your ability in your body. It doesn't really matter if the back of the leg is completely straight, as long as the tailbone is being drawn earthways, the shoulders are the same, the leg is skywards bound, and we're in good order. Release from there. We're going to roll gently onto our right side and come back up to sitting, taking the legs out in front. I'm going to draw the right heel in towards the body, but I want a nice big working space, and ideally the foot pointing forwards, toes on the left leg pointing up towards the sky. So this foot is coming more sort of out towards the hip. I'm going to take from this seated position my left hand back and just place the fingers on the floor behind my hip, rotate my body towards the left side, and then brace right arm and leg towards the center line. So I'm trying to squeeze my arm and my leg into the center line at the same time. Can release from there. We'll do the same again, opposite side. So just taking a little time to bring the foot in. Get the body as upright as you can, flexing the outstretched leg, taking that right hand back, rotating towards the right, and then it's left and left to the center. I'll release from there again. I'm going to move back down to the floor and come into Happy Baby. So ease yourself down. Allow yourself to just draw the knees in. Take them wide. Chin towards chest and slide the fingers down. Shins towards the outside edge of the feet. And then lay the head deliberately back down towards the ground, keeping a nice long neck. Just going to lift the right leg into a 90-degree bend to start with. And then we'll bring that back down. We'll take the left. And then we'll bring both heels back in. Take another breath, and on the exhale, lift both heels. Again, aiming to keep the tailbone connected to the floor. Try and keep the shoulders soft. And then we'll release. Okay. I'm going to bring the feet back in towards the body. And I'm going to take my brick and block, put them on top of each other, and bring them out towards the side of the mat so that they're just a little bit lower than the hip bone, moving towards the mat. And I have my feet about hip distance apart. Take the strap around the left foot. Take it out. And I'm going to take a bind around one fist. So I'm just hooking that in. So I've got plenty of control with how tight I want that strap to be. And then I'm going to lay the head down, take the right arm out to the side for a little bit of counterbalance. And carefully and slowly start to let the left leg sink out to the side. Now, hopefully, at some point, my thigh will land on the brick and the block. Now, if you're able to just use a brick, that's fine. If you want more height, then use more props. Take it with control, slowly. Sometimes it feels like it's a really long way down. And then we're going to let the weight of the leg sit a little onto the block. We're still using strength in the arm. Trying to press the right side of the hip and buttock down into the floor. So if it's twisted away at all, this is a good opportunity to try to use a little bit of strength in the hips and pelvis connected with your abdomen to draw down. Now we're going to start to draw the groin back in and use the strength of the arm to guide that leg back. Gently and slowly up towards the ceiling. And then when it's in the right place, pointing up towards the sky with the heel, we bend the leg, bring that down, and then we just move our combination of brick and block to the other side. So right leg up towards the sky, the bind again, your maximum control. Remember, left arm out to the side. Goes a bit optimistic there. And we'll slowly control the leg out towards the right. Really, the phrase of slow is what feels comfortable. In different bodies is going to be different speed. So sometimes, especially if you're in a studio situation, closing your eyes in this one is a good thing because then you can't see what everyone else is doing. And again, we draw the groin in, use a little strength in the arm, lift our way slowly back up. Bend the knee, put myself down again. So I'm going to just move the block behind the back of the head and move into happy baby. So if you feel the block is superfluous to you in your happy baby, then that's fine. But I just find it a little bit easier. I draw the knees in and wide, but this time, rather than holding onto the outside edge of the feet, I'm going to go for big toe with index finger and middle finger. Get a nice lock. And then slowly lengthen out the right leg and the left leg. See how that feels. The legs are nice and wide apart. And then start to press the heels away slowly, just giving the shoulders and the spine time to react with those big muscles. And we're gradually getting out to hopefully the straightest legs that we can achieve this morning. And then we'll slowly bring them back in. And carefully allow one foot at a time to come to the floor. And then ease the heels out towards the corner edges of the mat. The arms out a little wider. Shavasana. The legs open out easily, shoulders relax down. Soften the jaw. His eyes closed with a nice feeling of ease across the forehead. Soft eyes. Begin to stretch those fingers and toes. Breathing a little deeper, we start to get some movement into the wrists and ankles. Use a big breath in and allow ourselves to stretch out on the exhale. And carefully bring the knees back in, sliding the heels along the floor if it's possible. Give a gentle hug. Maybe stirring the knees in the air again to make some little circles. And we'll roll gently onto our right side. Take a breath. And the exhale to press into the floor and lift ourselves slowly back up to a seated posture. So thank you for joining me this morning. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend ahead. Hands in towards your heart. So take a breath in, closing your eyes. Slowly exhale, let the chin drop, belly draw in, and the spine bow down to the floor to seal your practice. And inhale, lift the spine with the breath. Head float, eyes open. Namaste. See you again on the mat soon. Take care.